You may not know me. We may have never met. But let me tell you something that you can take to the bank, write it on the wall. I've been through this. Whenever something happens before you, a big event, 9/11, the Vietnam War, Watergate, anything, impeachment, the Lahaina Maui fires, the Northern California fires, hurricanes, weather, the Canadian fires, and all of a sudden, everybody in New York saw this orange sky, and then they just forgot. They just forgot to talk about it. They were too busy. But whenever you notice something, whenever something doesn't make sense to you, whenever you say, wait a minute, I'm not buying this, you stick to your guns. And don't let these bastards tell you that you're some crazy conspiracy theorist, because that's when you know you're over the target, because you get flack. That's exactly what's happening. It's exactly what's happening. Now, before I go on, and I hope convince you to listen more to me, you got to like this video. You've got to subscribe to the channel. And you've got to hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. But let me tell you something. I've been through this. Let me also tell you something. I'm a trial lawyer by profession. And guess the people that we get to handle the biggest cases ever involving the death penalty. Huge multi-billion-dollar cases. You remember the Dominion case? A jury was going to handle that. Huge cases involving intellectual property matters. Juries. People like you and me. People that say, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. There's something wrong here. I've been through this with 9/11. Oh, man, like you can't believe. And I knew things, and I saw things, and I would see stuff that didn't make any sense regarding, airline crashes, fires, buildings. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not a metallurgist. You're not some accident reconstruction person. You're just some nobody. I'm thinking, wait a minute. I know common sense. I know what's going on. Same thing with JFK. All of a sudden, you would hit this. You would see the head go back. What are you talking about? The head goes backwards when you hit from the back. No, I've been in cars before. I know Newtonian physics. What are you doing? But here's the part that kills me about this Lahaina Maui. There were people. Oh, well, let me just say something right. Oh, yeah. We got a few nutcases here and there. People who fancy themselves as wanting to notice things, who will immediately refer to different weapon systems and they know all of them, ex-CIA, ex-FBI. Well, not FBI. Nobody cares about the FBI. Remember there was a while back when everybody was the NSA? Now it's ex-CIA, ex-SEAL Team 6, always SEALs. There were, our last count, apparently 400 million Navy SEALs, because everybody's a retired SEAL. And hats off to Don Shipley for getting to the bottom of that one. But let me not digress. Somebody will look at a picture and they'll say, now let me ask you a question. Let's assume this picture that I'm showing is authenticated. What does that mean? In evidence law, it means, is this a true and accurate depiction of something which occurred at that time? Is this a true and accurate depiction? Is this picture from Lahaina 3 days ago or 2 days ago or whatever? Because the first thing these debunkers do and the fact checkers is they say that picture's from 2018. So use tin eye or something. Don't believe necessarily what you see on the internet. You know what Abraham Lincoln said about the internet, right? Okay. Now, aside from that, but let's assume you get something. And let's assume, for the sake of argument, arguendo, for the sake of argument, as opposed to innuendo, which is an Italian suppository. Okay, now, here's my question. If you see two things next to each other, and one appears to be burned, and one appears not to be burned, or you see fire patterns that you, as an admitted fire novice, a tyro, an amateur. You say, you know what? I don't. I'm no expert here. The same way you, as a juror, would be asked to answer the question, do you think this is weird? That's a matter of fact. Well, you're no expert. Well, you are, and I'm a juror. They are telling you you can't ask questions. You can't say, wait a minute. These fire patterns, what are you getting at? I'm not getting at anything. I'm saying these fire patterns are weird. I've seen this before. Do you ever see pictures of hurricane? I don't mean to say I love, but I'm fascinated by weather. And I've seen hurricanes actually hit people with, it's funny how we got a lot of pictures of hurricanes, not a lot of UFOs. I'll get to that later on. But anyway, and I believe in UFOs. The same way I believe in electrons, and I've never seen an electron, but I digress. Sometimes I've seen a UFO, a hurricane, and I look at the results, and I'm thinking, wow, look at aerial views. Look at that house. Everything around this house is gone, but this house made it. And people say, that's lucky. Nobody called me crazy. Nobody called me a conspiracy theorist. But I'd say, hey, you're right about that, right? Here's the house, and this house too. Look at this. It's almost like you can see the hurricane, right? Now, I do the same thing, same situation, but this time it's fires. Fires that go off when the people say, we never had any of those tsunami alarms go off. And all of a sudden, there's no phone. The phone system went off. Yeah, there's no phone. Okay, what are you getting at? I'm not getting at anything. I'm asking a question. So anyway, now when I notice, I say, look at this. This house is here. This house is across the street. This house is on fire. This one's gone, but this one wasn't. And the one next to it, it's almost as like this. It's almost as though, and I'm just making an observation. Or there's a circle. Now, you know something's up. You know something is up. Why? Because they're yelling at you for daring to point out something which is obvious. You only take flack when you're over the target. Now, listen to me. Now, my friends, we've got some folks out there who mean well, but they want to get their numbers up. And they do everything in their power to get their, social media stuff, because they'll say, well, obviously, this is a directed energy weapon. Excuse me? What was that? Obviously. Wait a minute. Why? You're looking at a burned out house. I'm looking at a burned out house. Why is this obvious? Well, because I'm an expert. Agenda 21. Wait a minute. Agenda 23. Stop. Codex Alimentarius. The Great Reset. They just say things. And then you have a group of people over here who eat this up. They just, it's like throwing them a fish. Tell me more. Harp. Weather modification. Maybe we'll bring up the quote from Cohen, the defense secretary. I think, whoa, wait, stop. And this is where I, as the adult professor of common sense, have to say, now, hang on a second. Now, wait a minute. Let's look at this thing carefully. Let us not extrapolate too much. And let's not go beyond the realm of what we know to be true. First and foremost, ask your questions. Ask questions. Ask these questions. There's a lot of property transfers that will occur pretty soon, don't you think? Yeah, well, let's assume I've got a piece of property that's worth $2 million, okay? And I've got $2 million, and I decide that after the fire, I can't live here anymore. So Is my property worth $2 million? No. What? Well, everything is destroyed. Is my insurance going to pay me $2 million? Probably not. Well, what am I going to do? Well, I don't know. Am I going to have to rebuild here? Well, we'll see. Or do I cut my losses and leave? Do I try to pick up, get away from this? Will I be able to? Some people will say, not everybody was damaged, but some people. And the next question I have is there anybody, going back to this particular theory, is there anybody there who was rather recalcitrant or who dared to refuse to move or to sell when theoretically asked or an offer was made by big corporations? Could this fire have been responsible, not deliberately necessarily, but just concomitantly, as happenstance, could it have been responsible for a sudden huge change in ownership and possessory interests? Interesting. Now, does that mean that the reason that if all of a sudden the Bill Gates, pick a name, because anytime you mention Bill Gates, people go crazy. If Bill Gates goes in and swoops up, or Bezos or whoever, all this now vacant, charred, destroyed, infrastructure corrupted property and island real estate, does that mean they had something to do with it? No. Is it interesting? Yes. Why isn't there anyone on any TV program, cable or otherwise, who says, let's look at this? No. Their first rule is to say, just look at the pictures, don't ask any questions, and look at these crazy conspiracy theorists. Now, I want you to make sure you understand what I'm doing. Let me be crystal clear. I ask why. What? Who? When? Wow. Look at this. Has this happened before? What does this mean? What is the end result? Are fire patterns like this different? How do they compare to other fires and the like? In fact, I have read before, maybe you know this, that let me see where, here we go, that the Lahaina Maui fires, the toll, human toll, surpassed the 2018 Camp Fire, which resulted in 85 fatalities. In the Chronicles of Hawaii, it now holds the distinction of being the deadliest natural catastrophe ever recorded. Its impact rivals even the famous 1918 Cloquet Fire in northern Minnesota, an event that claimed the lives of 450 individuals. This inferno that swept through Lahaina left behind a wake of devastation, causing extensive damage to or complete destruction of over 2,200 structures. Could be $5 billion, as FEMA suggested. Remember FEMA? Remember when FEMA was a bad name? Remember that one? I've been through all these. So here's what I'm saying. Absorb the information. Ask any question you want. Don't ask for permission, but understand, the mainstream media doesn't report, it repeats whatever it's told to repeat. You can't trust these people. Whenever you hear them say something, it's not the truth. It's what they want you to believe the truth is. Thank you, dear friend. Thank you for letting me take some time and speak with you. Please do me a favor and like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that video. What am I saying? Please hit that bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And what I'd like you to do is to write down below, comment your thoughts and comments. Comment below. Comment as you see fit.